Okay, thank you, everybody. Since we're broadcasting on the web and they flipped the switch at 8:30, I believe, we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you all for coming back. Thank you for not being scared away yesterday after our good and spirited discussion. I think we got a really good layout of the issues and the topics and the controversies and the scope and the scale of what we're doing yesterday. So we have a very good context, I believe, for knocking out the fields of study that we have on the table today. I apologize to everyone that I was not able to get a document to you in good enough time, really, for you to maybe go to the institution's webpage to look up some of these things. I hope that some of you were able to do that anyway, or you were able to look at the key institutions to see what kinds of offerings they have at the lower division for our 5 proposed mini fields of study. One is the general health services, the other is informatics, third is imaging, radiology related things, fourth is clinical lab science, and fifth is public health. These are not carved in stone, okay? It's how we can talk about it, but if, as discussion goes, you feel like one of these is unnecessary or they can be combined or maybe we need a 6th one, that's perfectly okay. We might surprisingly find that the differences at the lower division really aren't for some of these things, because most of the action really happens at the upper division where majors really start to define themselves. So what I thought I'd do is I'd get down on the computer and keep a list as people are proposing classes and fill them into a kind of template and let our 2 co-chairs take over and start the discussion. So thank you.
All right, with that being said, so we have 5 areas, and we have roughly maybe about 45 minutes to spend on each area. But if we start with some low-hanging fruit and we're able to save some time, we can have additional time for those areas that may need extra discussion. So is there a particular area that everybody feels that maybe the lowest hanging fruit, something that we could knock out or agree on pretty quickly in terms of the field of study?
I'm going to need a little bit more time on the imaging because I'm waiting for some documents for some colleagues, and the notes took until after midnight last night to complete.
Okay.
Alex, we talked about doing like subcommittees of this. Mm-hmm. Is it possible to do like just 10 minutes or something? I mean, at least to try to coordinate where we're at with that, or no? Is that not what we were supposed to do?
So you mean like get together?
For example, yeah, we were looking at health informatics, and we both looked at it and we saw your information, but we haven't sat down and looked at it.
Kind of piece it together.
So if we talked about it now, we'd be basically having a conversation.
When we could do that.
I think it's probably a wise idea to take 15 minutes in each of our assigned areas to fine-tune what our thoughts are, and then come back as the group. That way we can take that 15 minutes and just divide that up between the 45 minutes that are designated for each of our areas. And that way we'd have a better focus, I think.
Yeah, because we won't take that long.
Yeah, no, I think 10 to 15 minutes should probably do it. So let's go ahead and get in our subcommittee groups, if we can gather.
What is which one? Okay, so what now it's working, sure? Yeah. Okay. This was sent in from Jean. She says, biology, science, biology 1 and 2, or AP 1 and 2. Different track, kilogram. So I think that yeah, for, and that is the most common that almost everyone has. So for UT, yeah, right. So for UT El Paso, they had biology 1305, general biology or And then they also had A and P, 1 and 2, and they had a general chemistry, Yeah, exactly, because of the 120. I need to ask him a question. And then that's, what do you do for Nicholson? Were you required to have molecular? Do you have a course? Do you have your own course? Oh, okay. I need to ask it a really good question. And I think I asked it the other day.
Let's go ahead and open our discussion. Is there a group that would like to go first, or shall we just go down our list? Okay, so the list that I have is general health. We're going to keep that till last, so we'll start with informatics then.
Okay. So you sent out a list earlier this morning, I believe,
Yes.
and we are going to suggest that list with the addition of statistics, and that is 1342, I can't remember the... math, 1342. That gives us 18
Okay.
for the field of study.
So would you go ahead and read off that list?
I will, as soon as I pull it up.
Okay. No. No, I was going to have Michelle read it off for you.
Working on it. All right. So that is Programming Fundamentals, CSCI 1423, which is 4 credits. AMP 1 and 2, each 4 credits, so it's 2301 with a lab, and it's 2101, biology, sorry. And then it's biology 2302, 2102 for lecture lab. And then you have public health, principles and populations, and you've got Kanice, is that, so you looked at the
We'll need
AG
to find an ACGM
Yeah, okay.
course number for something that's similar.
And then statistics, that I talked about. And Jimmy, did you have that under, did you have healthcare management under the same group as informatics?
No, I did not have.
You didn't, but was it originally put in that, do you know? Healthcare management in with informatics?
Health, let's see.
No. Oh, yes, I think we did. I do have an arrow going into that one.
Include that with informatics.
The problem is that
was
medical
originally-
records
it was
administration
originally put in with
and health
informatics,
information
but we
administration is highly disparate from health informatics.
Right, so it's our suggestion that be pulled out. We kind of feel that the healthcare management is more under the business field of study, that you have your upper division was where you get your healthcare admin type of work, and that it doesn't fit into the informatics. And
And
those,
it's possible that the medical records administration is actually a certificate at the associate degree. Does anyone know?
what is it?
The medical records administration?
Associate degree, they have associate degrees.
So maybe it should be included in informatics, but I don't know.
I think if you get the field of study with informatics, you can use it to apply towards healthcare management, because there are some programs that had A&P and things like that, but it's not going to necessarily, I mean, besides the core, you're going to still need accounting and those kind of things
Correct.
that are in addition to what informatics requires.
That's correct.
Okay, so what does the group think? Do we need to put that to a vote? Do we eliminate 510701, healthcare administration and management, from consideration? What did everybody else think?
I'm looking at the programming fundamentals. One of the things, and I'm trying to, does anybody know what institution that course comes from? Because what I'm trying to see if it aligns, what I saw with a lot of the informatics programs is that their programming course doesn't necessarily align with the community college's programming course.
Which program is that now?
Programming fundamentals.
Programming fundamentals. So I wanted to look
It's the
that up
CIP code for that.
on the Texas, I was trying to look it up on the Texas Common Core numbering system to see if it,
It was something similar.
So the junior
The course, programming fundamentals?
he's talking about CSCI 1423, and like at the junior college level, we have computer applications.
Okay. Does that seem to be a reasonable substitution? Computer applications?
so I didn't know, do you know what institution that course came from? Did you grad,
Mine.
did y'all? Oh, it came from from HCC?
Yeah, it's a POFI, which I don't even know what
Oh,
that is.
no, the CSCI course.
Oh, no, that was Jimmy. She,
You know,
That came from Texas Women's.
Texas Women's.
That came from
Okay,
Texas Women's.
That helps.
It wouldn't make sense if we recommend the HCC substitution instead of the 4-year, and then we put it up and wait for public comment.
Yes?
So when I'm looking at, it does not equal the course at the community college. So for example, this is the programming fundamentals, and it has a lab. It's a 14, what we have for at the college for programming fundamentals. So I don't think that course would be equivalent.
but do you agree that computer applications would? You don't think they need,
I don't think it would be accepted by the 4 years, is what I'm seeing.
not in place of, but
Right. We're talking about prerequisites. These are FOS coming in. They can still offer their own curriculum.
I guess maybe this is the wrong course then. Maybe it's not a programming course that we're trying to go after.
I don't think computer applications and programming are the same.
Oh, yeah. So we would take this course
So
off.
take
and
it
then-
out, right?
So what would be the other course?
Computer applications?
Yeah, so if we can look at something at your institution, see if there's something similar to that, and see if you would use the same thing. At Texas State, they have a computer information systems, is that? So
There must be something comparable then
Yes,
across
so
the
it says
board.
1323 at Texas State, so I would think that, and this curriculum is meant to transfer in and start at the junior level.
What's the number for that course?
1323,
So make that recommendation.
CIS 1323, Computer Information Systems.
So if we substitute computer applications, CIS 1323, that would give us computer applications, A&P 1 and 2, public health principles and populations, or some course that's similar to Introduction to Public Health, and then statistics and math 1342.
Yes, the 1323 is Computer Information Systems.
Yes,
Computer.
CIS
Yeah.
1323 for computer applications. So we just need to find a course for the public health principles and populations, which I found as KINE 2350, but there's probably some other designation for that.
So I'm trying to find it in ACGM.
Okay.
I see a business computer applications. And that is all I'm seeing.
Okay, well, walk me through this thing to make sure we're all clear, because this is going too fast for me. What do I need for the mathematics part? Is there anything for the mathematics part of the core for informatics?
Math 1342 statistics.
Statistics, yes.
So we might have to go with the business.
Okay, and are you doing A and P 1 and 2?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, what are the course numbers for that?
2301, 2101 is A&P 1. And
For this one, it's 2302.
correct.
Now, typically, we allow a substitution where a student can choose either the 4-hour section or the 3-hour section plus the lab, and I'll put those courses in there later. So those are 4-hour courses, right? You want to specify the 4-hour version?
Yes.
Okay. Anything for communications or language, creative arts?
I think the core is
The
fine
core,
for
the-
those. To leave that open.
The normal core that would,
Okay.
So would you want to add, for example, for the social and behavioral sciences, psychology? One of the things that I saw in looking at all of the different programs last night was that programs a lot of the health science type programs, they either require psychology or they require whichever one you want to pick. But some of them specifically say psychology. So if you specifically name psychology as you cover both ends. But if you give the option, for example, and the student takes sociology, a program that requires psychology, they still are missing that psychology.
okay.
So
Yeah,
I'll open it up and see if there's any discussion on that.
Yeah, and I think you're going to have to consider different areas in different ways. Informatics is probably going to be more important to have social understanding, social awareness than it is psychological. They're not dealing with patients and they're not dealing with patient issues. They're dealing more with social issues. And so I think that's, as we go through these different things, we're going to have to think about those kind of things.
So do we then just leave out psychology or sociology and leave that to the? Okay. As part of the core, so they'll just choose that.
Okay, so what are the other items in the field study for informatics?
well, we were up, so if we take out A&P that would count as part of the core, or, so, because we're up to 18 credits.
So are we doing public health principles and populations?
Is that on there?
That's not in the ACGM.
So we need an ACGM course that's similar to that. I'm sure there is one. I just didn't know it.
For public health, well, we can check. Here are the category. Here are the disciplinaries in the ACGM. Is there a course here that would work? Where would it be? Would it be in? Or I can. Let's see.
For Texas State, I don't see that. So I don't see that requirement for public health.
Is there nothing on the list of courses that are currently offered at institutions? If not, then maybe we don't need to be putting it in there. Public health. Would it be in kinesiology?
This one was, yes.
Yeah, it was. And did we decide that med term wasn't?
It's not in ACGM.
It's not an age. Okay, that's why it was a welcome, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it would be good to have one in there.
Well, they have to take it.
Well,
so-
there's this personal community health, PHED 1304,
Which I think would.
which is Introduction to Fundamentals, Concepts, Strategies, Applications, Contemporary Trends to Community Health Issues.
Which would be a good introduction. So I think that would suffice. What do you all think?
That looks like the only sort of public health related course.
$13.04, so PHED $13.04.
And what informatics program did you see that was needed?
Texas Women's in at Georgia State. I know Georgia's not in Texas, but their informatics program is actually quite renowned.
If we're going to suggest a course that's different from what we found somewhere, we need to pull up the description of the course that's actually included in an informatics program and compare it to this kinesiology course to make sure that they are somewhat equivalent. Because I know if it were me and somebody, I had a program and somebody said, this is the course that you should use, and it was very different from the course that I actually had, that just had similar titles, I'd be very upset by that.
I agree with you. And I would hope that any comments coming back to us would help correct that. So if someone has that particular program, for example, they would come back and say, no, that won't work for us, but if we had this instead, it would.
Right, yeah, bear in mind, we have a charge today. We're not here to answer everything. We're just putting up the best plan that we think it's appropriate, and then that's what the public comments are for. They will tell us.
Start from scratch.
Can I ask a question? So for the health informatics program, why are we requiring A&P, or why are we suggesting A&P on the FOS?
That's in their degree plan.
Because I was looking at Texas, I think Texas Women's, it's not in their degree plan. The one in Georgia State, it's not in their degree plan.
I must have been looking at the wrong thing.
Yeah. Because it's a health information, so why would you require an AMP course for health information?
For our health information, at the junior college level, it's in there.
It is,
Sure,
okay.
yes. And
I wonder if it could just be so they would understand the terminology and how it all relates, because I don't know.
Maybe just a question.
It does seem kind of,
Yeah, because if you're dealing with
a little
data
bit.
and health information, then.
Or it could be just satisfying the 8 hours of the natural sciences core.
From what I saw from informatics, they wanted 2 biologies. They didn't want A&P.
Just biology?
Yeah,
Yeah.
for informatics, if we're talking informatics.
what about, do we still have non-majors biology? I mean, wouldn't that be more appropriate?
I believe they wanted the majors,
Okay.
from what I saw. For informatics, they wanted majors. Now, for health information, and I think that's what we talked about, is maybe separating those 2. For health information, definitely A&P 1 and 2 is in there. But for informatics, they wanted the biology.
what are the differences? What are you, health management or?
Health information management versus informatics.
Except our term is medical informatics. So the term that we have for 51.2706 is medical informatics. And if we're including that with health information and medical records, if we're supposed to cover both of those, then it needs to be a bit more comprehensive. So that's why I had included the anatomy and physiology.
Yeah, but I think the challenge is that informatics doesn't need A&P.
So like Texas Women's University has 4 tracks. So I think it's going to be challenging unless you just definitely leave it at the basics, put your biologies in there, just for the core, and computer statistics.
Yeah, they do require life and physical sciences.
Right.
So,
And so their health, like TWU's health studies minor has more science-based classes in it. And Texas State has A&P in there as well, but not all of them do.
Yeah.
So then do we want to just take A&P out and just have computer applications, personal and community health, and statistics?
Also, by the way, there is no course called 1323 Computer Applications.
It would be the BCIS 1305, Business Computer Applications. That's the only course I saw on ACGM that would be.
I thought in the CIS isn't in the ACGM.
So it would be BCIS 1305.
Okay, come on, computer. This one here, Business Computer Applications. Okay, 3 hours. Okay. Okay, so what do you think? We got to keep moving here. Do we want A&P or
I
biology?
think we can keep it.
Both?
If
Choice.
some programs offer it and then other programs, it could still meet part of their science requirements.
It would still meet the biology requirements if they took A&P, correct? So if we go higher, it would count as the lower one,
Correct.
right? If we go low, it won't count as the A&P.
Correct.
Is that-
Okay. So is this accurate? What's on the screen? Anything else?
You'll have to read that. I can't read that.
Sorry, it's... Okay. Okay. let's leave that then. We can come back to it when we have the others up and see if we've changed our mind about anything. But what's next?
Let's move on to imaging.
To imaging?
Well, before we move on, so this covers both informatics and health information. Is that what we're saying? That we have those two together?
That was my understanding.
Yes, we decided to leave off healthcare administration and management, right? That's no longer included. Is that correct?
Okay, so then I will go back with health information management. There were several programs that required psychology.
One quick thing on that one we were just talking about, BCIS is 1305, not 1325.
Well, is this the right course here? 1305, right? Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, then you're right. My apologies. 1305. Thank you. Good.
So the only thing I would add is if this encompasses health information, there are several programs that require specifically psychology. You can't do sociology and get credit for psychology. So that's...
Well, they'll have to take something in social and behavioral sciences. So if you have a preference, this is the time to specify.
If it's just open like that and psychology fulfills the requirement for everybody, but it is required for some programs, so let's make psychology the preferred course.
That's what I was thinking.
And put it in there, because it's either or.
Okay, what does the group think? Do we need to put it to a vote?
Well, I agreed with Dawn on the fact that, they're really dealing with more social issues, but at the same time, if we're trying to eliminate unnecessary courses and a lot of people have the psych, then that might be the best.
Well, so the
Doesn't make more sense.
the informatics part maybe deals with more social, but I think health information, since we're grouping them together, health information is definitely patient.
Again, with the interest of time, put in psychology, wait for public comment. Let's move on.
I concur.
Thank you. So for that, we'll include computer applications, psychology, anatomy and physiology, personal and community health, and statistics. So the items that were on the list. And let's move on to imaging.
Okay, with imaging, I've been helping out with that, and we looked at, there are 4 different programs within the state that offer it above an associate's degree level. And that is Midwestern State, Texas State, MD Anderson, and University of Incarnate Word. So we've looked at their different degree plans. Incarnate Word kind of matches, but they're a private institution, so they really have the choice of whether they wanted to be a part of this or not. So the main focus on the other 3, and I'm actually almost done typing up an FOS for them, and we've kind of looked at the different ones. All 3 programs require a math. 2 of the programs required college algebra or higher. 1 program required pre-calculus. So if we put pre-cal on the FOS, that should cover all 3 of those. A&P 1 and 2 for all 3 of them. General chemistry for all 3 of them as well. General chemistry 1. With that one, 2 of them required the lecture plus lab, and the other one had a lecture and a separate lab course. So I think if we put the combination one, that should still cover all 3. They all require either psychology or sociology, except for 1 required the psychology. So if we put the psychology on there, that should cover all 3. Let's see. So with the pre-cal, A&P 1 and 2, general chemistry and psychology, that's, I don't know if we want to add anything else because they require English and stuff like that too.
What
but I
about
don't-
physics?
Physics, I have not gotten that far.
Texas State required physics 1320 and the lab.
Texas State did.
I think
And,
we talked about adding physics 1 and 2 as
Yeah.
a part of that.
Physics 1 and 2.
Okay, so let's look at,
And they have that again in
Texas
their
State
specific-
requires an elementary physics lecture plus lab, so that's I'm assuming like a general physics 1, college physics 1. And let's see. I don't see that on MD Anderson's. Peter, do you know any more about that? For the Okay, so maybe just put physics 1. 1 and 2? Okay. All right, so all right, so if we add, are those each 4-hour lecture courses? I haven't had a chance to look at those.
I think they are because I think they have a lab.
6 are both 4 hours. That puts us at 26 on the FOS.
Some of those are core,
Yeah, so it's fine.
so I think that that number is fine.
Okay,
Yes.
all right, I'll finish typing it up.
Good
then.
job, good job for
I think
imaging.
it looks good.
Does this look accurate, what's on the
I
screen?
had help. I was typing, I had help.
Does this look accurate, what's on the screen?
So the chemistry's lecture and lab. I don't know if you want
4 hours. A and P, whoa, well, A and P 1 and A and P 2 are 4 hours?
Hours, yes, those are each 4 hours.
Okay, that kicks us over 60. No, that's right at 60, so, okay, that would work.
Okay.
Even so, with most of the AAS programs in imaging, they've gotten the exemption from the state for the 60 SEH, and so they can still, if they want to work this in as part of their program to fit the field of study for the 4-year colleges, they can still work those in.
So it sounds like we have consensus on imaging.
I just want to be clear on the math, because what's called pre-calculus can vary. So are we calling pre-calculus?
I put in the math
Which course?
2312, which is
Math
just,
2312.
in the ACGM, it's pre-calculus math. Math 2312.
2312 is calculus.
Oh,
and
I see. This one here.
1348 is pre-calculus.
Did I look at the wrong one?
Okay, that's the right one, math 2412, pre-calculus math.
Math 2312? 2312 on the ACGM.
2412 is the 4-hour version. Do you want to
24,
specify?
okay, there's 2 different ones. There's 2312 and 2412.
Okay, so are you going to specify the 3-hour version?
I guess that depends on what, because most of these require 3 hours of college algebra or higher. So they're requiring a 3-hour. This one requires 3 hours. So I guess we need to do the 4 hours because MD Anderson requires 3, Midwestern requires 3, but Texas State requires 4.
Well, let's see, if you do that, that's a 61 hours, but I guess that's,
I agree.
If a student takes the 4-hour version and transfers,
It should cover.
it's all right. It'll just lose that semester credit hour. I
But
mean,
would Texas State take a 3-hour when they require a 4-hour?
they'll have to if it's in the field of
Have to
study.
if it's in the FOS.
So keep it at the 3-hour?
Yes.
Okay.
They just couldn't require the student to take the extra lab hour when they, after transfer.
All right, so we'll leave it at 2312?
Okay. Okay.
My question would be, I know that's different from like UTEP, but if they wanted to use their pre-calculus at 3 hours, UTEP's pre-calculus is 5 hours. Would they go ahead and have the credit, the 3, and say, oh, I already took it?
I think if they took a 5-hour, they would get credit for the 3
No,
hour.
I'm saying if they took it at the 3-hour at community
UTEP will have
college.
to honor that.
They
because
would have
we're-
to honor it.
Because UTEP's pre-cal is at the, the core
Freshman,
level.
yeah, it's
So they have
15.
to honor that.
Yeah, okay. We lost signal on the TV. Okay.
Okay, that looks good.
So then we should be able to, are we okay with this one then,
If
with imaging?
anybody?
Let's go ahead and move on to clinical lab sciences.
I know, what could say, like, we're going to be like engineering with 30-something hours. All right, so what we have is general biology 1 and lab, or general biology 2 and lab for 4 hours. And then we'll have anatomy and physiology 1 in lab, or A&P 2 in lab for another 4 hours. Right, general biology 1 or general biology 2. Then we have anatomy and physiology 1 in lab, or A&P and lab 2. So they can take either one. They don't have to take both, just like the general bio.
So if I could just ask a question. From my perspective, wouldn't it make more sense to say general biology 1 or A&P 1? And then it's the
Oh, and then
second requirement, biology 2 or A&P 2? Because the way that it reads right now, you can take biology 1 and A&P 1, which doesn't really complete the set. Does that make sense? Okay. So I think
Okay, so you would be okay with them, okay, so you just want them to have a complete sequence of either one?
But what
Okay.
if they take general biology 1 and then take A&P 2?
That's right. Which is the way you have it, you could do that. What
You can.
what you might want to have is say, choose one of the following pairs of courses. Biology 1 and 2, or A&P 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Is that
we could do
Yeah.
that.
is that what you prefer? Okay.
I don't think that's what we want. If you have general biology 1 and 2, we're not requiring them to take 2 biologies. They can just, they have to take one, either general biology 1 or the general biology 2, and then they can choose A&P 1 or A&P 2. No, it's 8, because you have to have the general bio, which is 4, and then you have to have the A&P, which is another 4. That's 8.
Most A&P courses will have as a prerequisite biology 1 and 2. So really you're tacking on an additional 4-hour requirement there.
So then this is another question that I wanted to bring up to Dr. Mitchie is, for example, at UTEP, they only have to take one general biology, and then they go into A&P 2. So if we put in here that they have to have general biology 1 and 2, is UTEP going to be allowed to increase our total semester credit hours, or do we have to delete something which we wouldn't be able to?
Well,
That's why we're kind of limiting it.
This is kind of why you might consider the verbiage of the first line being general biology 1 or A&P 1, and then the second line being general biology 2 or A&P 2, because that way we're requiring 8 hours, and you can choose which one you want to take, and that would totally supply your needs for your program, as well as my program.
Well, however, general biology 1 does not contain the organ systems and things like that that we need. I'm sorry, not general biology, A&P 1, I'm sorry. A&P 2 is the one that we require. because that has to deal more with the organ system. So if they're taking General Biology 1 and AMP 1, they haven't got the organ systems of which we need.
There's actually a pretty simple and elegant solution to this. You go ahead and put it however you want, General Biology 1 or General Biology 2 or General Biology 1 or AMP 1, however you want. The college then just select from those courses for their curriculum, their specific curriculum. All right? So you can still do what you need to do. If a student transfers, you're going to have to honor that transfer, but you can still do what you need to do in your curriculum. Most of the students who come through your program are going to follow that pattern.
Is that the only institution that is set up that way? I'm interested to know if any of the other institutions are set up that.
So
if it's just that one institution, then
Yeah, I looked at 7
Okay.
last night, and most of them have General Biology 1 and then AMP 1 and 2. Some of them just had 8 hours of biology.
Right.
Science majors, AMP 2 or human phys. Anderson says AMP 1 or Biology 1, AMP 2 or Biology 2. Texas Tech says the same thing. And San Antonio said Biology 1 and 2 in general or human phys. Texas State's Biology 1 and 2.
So for
So we have to come up with something that's kind of general, and it appears that AMP2 is in most of them, because AMP1 is not in most.
Let's see, yeah, 1 and 2. We don't.
You don't have any AMP at all.
We don't either.
So that goes back to my question. If we require AMP, are you going to be allowed to increase your total semester credit hours? So what are you going to take out to put in AMP?
I thought Peter's solution sounded the best to me. You can take 8 hours of the following courses.
So what
yours
if they-
take General Bio 1 and AMP 2?
Correct.
General Bio 1's a core, right? So that will automatically.
Well, they get the core science sequence. Do they still have the sequence? Is it important to have a sequence? Yeah, so the sequence for us is chemistry, general chemistry 1, general chemistry 2, and then organic. It's a 3 sequence. So the chemistry is what we're using for the science, not the bio.
Yeah, the option to just say 8 hours of life science doesn't require you to change your curriculum, though. It just requires you to honor that if someone transfers to your college from somewhere else.
Oh, that would be all right. Their learning curve would be a little steeper than others, but. Mhm. Yep. So what did we decide? What does it have? Choose. Or choose one of the general biologies and choose one of the AMP?
No, because you don't want them to take one.
Well, how many total how many total hours are we looking? 8. Oh. Okay. Choose 2 of the following 4 courses. So if someone chooses biology 1 and 2, they will have no AMP at all, and we'll have to honor it.
Right.
Okay. 'Cause 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 'cause
And it seems to work for some universities. So some universities are not requiring it, and the students are doing well. So we should just have a little faith that it should work.
All right. Do we want to keep it one pair? Right, so I think we should yes, take the word pair out. Choose two. Yes.
Okay, then if you do that, they can choose biology 1 and A&P 2, or they can choose biology 2 and
could
A&P 1.
Choose whatever they
And
want.
you're okay with that?
Yeah,
Okay.
and if they want to just take A&P 1 and 2, that's okay, if they'll allow them to get in there without the general bios. Okay. Right, right, okay.
Yeah, typically what's going to happen is if you maintain your curriculum as it is and it fits this, most of the students that come from a community college to your college are going to be El Paso Community College, and they're going to set their curriculum to match yours. So their students
Right,
aren't
we
from
do
transfer.
get students from other places too. All right, so after that, we had general chemistry 1 and 2, and then organic chemistry 1.
So is that going to be part of the menu under life science?
Okay, I'm sorry, can you repeat that, what the chemistry courses were?
General chemistry 1 and 2 in their labs. And then we had organic chemistry in lab. Is everyone okay with that? Then we had a general microbiology in lab. And that was 4 hours. And then we had a question mark with the math and genetics. We didn't quite come up with a consensus on that. But then we can require it if they haven't taken it. So we require them to take genetics. So if they don't take it, they can still take it.
Right.
Okay. And then if they going to take genetics, they have to take one of the biologies. So, okay. What about the math?
Genetics course specifically.
Well, there is no human really.
Ours is 2416,
That's it.
What is that?
2416.
just genetics, plain old genetics.
Just plain old
Plain
genetics.
Jane genetics,
Well,
covers lots.
but then they're going to be doing fruit flies, Peter.
We don't do fruit flies at ours. Here, there's a move away from it.
Yeah.
Genetics, this course here, is this the one? Lecture in lab? Okay. What's it called? Just genetics. Okay. Okay, anything else? Does this look accurate?
The math, did we
Math.
want to, the math? We weren't, yeah, the only concern, again, UTEP is a little bit weird, so if we put that math in, for us, for example, they're still going to have to come back and take the calculus, well, at minimum of the pre-calculus to get into the chemistries. Oh, but if they take chemistry at the community college level, it wouldn't matter, so.
that since some of the algebra exists in chemistry, general chemistry, that will be covered there. So if we change it to statistics as a requirement, then both areas will be covered.
I think statistics is important, but
Right?
but if they take general micro at community college level, it won't be a
Okay.
concern.
Which
For
course
the
for
general,
statistics?
the micro at UTEP, they have to have the pre-cal again. I know.
I think for
I
us,
need to
for
talk to the-
chemistry, it's, they need the college algebra. Just won't do it.
Statistics won't do it, yeah.
Yeah, for even at our community college, they have to have either have already completed college algebra or have congruent enrollment with college algebra at the time they're taking the inorganic chemistry.
Yeah.
Is
For my program, I'll accept, I require college algebra because I require chemistry, but if someone comes in having already taken statistics, then
You'll
I accept
substitute.
it, because I have a lot of students that come already having bachelor's degrees.
Yeah.
So they've already had chemistry, they've already had, and if they haven't had college algebra, then I accept it, so I'm fine with.
Is math 1312, is that algebra? I don't know what 1312 is.
13, 14.
What is,
I don't know. General chemistry for us is math 1312 or 2313, 2326, and pre-cal. So that's why we have pre-calculus, because they still need that to get into the micro.
I don't see 1312 on our list of ACGMs, but 1314 is college algebra, and 1316 is trigonometry. I don't see a 1312.
Maybe it's a typo in them.
Okay. Are we,
Can we put word statistics? But somehow it's just say that it's preferred, but you can also have 1314. So it can be either or, but we prefer statistics. Is there a way to? No? Oh, no? Okay.
5 of these programs had stats in there. Nobody had algebra.
Right.
There was one that
needed
had,
to have
there's
some.
one that had pre-cal.
Again, that's just because they had to take courses out
Yeah.
for to reach the 120.
They require stats, and maybe that's the one.
We don't require stats, but we would accept it to replace the math elective that we have currently in place.
Yeah. And I think our stats is in the core. In our university core.
Statistics sounds good to me.
I know.
so it sounds like we need to add statistics.
Yeah, that's what I think. I think it's 1342, MATH 1342.
Mine says 1442, is it in there?
See, 1342 is elementary statistical methods. 1442, the title's the same, just the
okay.
amount of hours is different.
Okay,
So you want the 3-hour version,
that's fine.
elementary statistical methods?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, does this look accurate then, what you see on the screen?
And we're at 60, so that's good.
We're at 60 hours. Okay,
Are we done? What about microbiology?
we have general and public health to go.
Program requires for the major?
Microbiology is here, yeah.
Yeah, I think,
Sorry if you can't
I think that
see.
looks complete.
Right.
Getting stuff done today.
Okay, that means we can move on to public health, our final category before we start on with general health.
This one's yours?
Oh, that's my writing right there.
Oh, this one, yes.
Thanks.
So it looks like for public health, we have a math, but I don't know which math we designated. Biology or chemistry, 1, or biology or chemistry, 2. Foundation of Health Science or Health Promotion, Introduction to Nutrition, Psychology, and A&P 1 and 2.
Okay, can you give that to me again slowly with feeling? Start again.
Biology 1 or chemistry 1, biology 1306 and 1106, and or chemistry 1311 and 111 for 4 credits.
Is 1306 biology 2, though? Or is it?
I may have the correct,
1305.
incorrect number.
Okay, I didn't know.
I'm not
I had
sure.
1305. I don't know. That could be incorrect.
Oh, it could be
1306 is bio
1305.
Bio, is 1306? Okay.
Okay, so 1306, biology 1306,
Okay.
and then biology or chemistry 1307 or chemistry 1312.
Okay, so this is a choice. I'm totally lost. Do you want, is this a choice of
Yes,
classes?
yes, a
Okay,
choice
so
of
are you choosing 2 of
biology.
these?
Yes, we're choosing 2.
Okay. Okay, so this is biology 1. Biology.
Oh, yeah, that's what we said.
Quick question there, Jimmy. Do
Yes.
you mean biology 1406? The one with the lab? You said 1306, but the chemistry was with the lab.
Well, the chemistry, she said 1312, which is lecture only.
Okay.
Well, actually, I think we decided that we needed labs as well.
Oh,
Biology.
So it was with the labs.
So it would be 14.
So it could be 04.
That would be
or
1412.
14, okay.
12.
But the biology you want without the lab?
No, both with the lab.
Okay, then with the lab, that's 1406.
And I had just had them separate with 1306 and
And
1106.
1106, yeah.
But they could certainly be together.
So did you say A and P 1 and 2?
Yes.
Okay. Any other choices?
But the biology 1306 needs to be 1406.
Okay. All right. And this is 1407?
Yes. If you want the lab. right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, any other choices? I can go in and fill in the course numbers,
Sure,
the
A&P.
rubrics later, but
Well, chemistry is another one. too.
chemistry?
But,
Oh, okay.
but that's
I
not
thought I
a,
heard her say that.
that's not an or, though. I mean, that's not from the choose 2,
Okay.
right?
I don't remember at this point.
Yeah, so we had them taking, well, biology or chemistry.
Or chemistry. That's what I'm
Biology or
asking about.
chemistry.
Yeah.
Oh, we had choose biology or chemistries, and then we did have A and P.
Take
We
those two.
required them to take A and P 1 and A and P 2.
Yes.
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 So take A and P out, and then move it down.
So for this one, is it bio 1 and 2 or chemistry 1 and 2?
That's correct.
Yes.
And so it's choose 2 courses in sequence.
Yeah, it's like either choose bio 1306 or 1406 and chemistry 1311, or choose bio 1307 and chemistry 1312.
But it should be 1412 and
No, I
It
was,
would be 1411.
should they choose a sequence? I was asking if they
And then
should
chemistry
choose.
14.
Yeah,
12.
biology 1 and chemistry 1,
No.
or biology 2 and chemistry 2.
And we
But that
just
would
leave
make
it
sense. You can't get into chemistry 2 without chemistry 1.
Yeah,
So that's what I was saying, is choose either bio 1 and bio 2, or chem 1 and chem 2.
That,
At
Do you want the
Tarleton, they
pairs or-
require biology 1 and chemistry 1.
Right, so I think they should take a biology and they should take a chemistry.
One of, okay.
One of each.
That's what I was, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So what
So
if
should-
we, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, so should it read biology 1 or biology 2 and chem 1 and or chem 2?
Well, with that, you can't take Chem 2 without Chem 1.
Right, exactly. But 1 is requiring, I'm confused with terminology between each of the schools as to which one, because it sounds like 1 requires biology 1 and chem 2. Or
Chem 1,
one, yes. And then some are requiring chem 1 and chem 2 or biology 1 and biology 2.
So could you take out biology 2 and chemistry 2 and just leave it biology 1 and chemistry 1?
I agree.
Yes,
Yes.
that sounds
Yeah,
good.
that would make it easier.
Say that again.
It would
Take
be-
out the biology 2s and the chemistry 2s.
Take out what?
Biology 2 and chemistry 2. And then take biology 1, chemistry 1. They can't choose. Too bad. They just like,
They veer too far.
no, they're not going to choose any pairs.
Okay. No,
No biology 2.
No biology 2.
their only choice is Bio 1 and Chem 1.
Yeah, they will be required to take both biology 1 and chem 1. No more choices.
Yes, take choice out.
Yes.
Yes. Right, and then they had AMP, but we couldn't decide if they needed 1 or 2.
Most places required 1 and 2.
Tarleton does not require 2.
UTEP is only AMP 2.
Could we make it an or decision? Either one.
AMP 1 or 2?
That would mean that programs that require both would have to accept a student that only had one and live with it.
Are there any programs that require both?
Looks like UNT does.
It's probably better to have both, and then you could use that other one for another area for something else. Yeah.
Again, I guess that's the question. If it's someone doesn't require both of them, and now they have to take both, they're going to have to change their degree plan somehow to put in an extra class.
Some areas they're going to have to take both. Like, for example, at some institutions, 1 is required to take 2. So they're going to have to take both.
Yeah, I mean, they can always get an override for that, because when I was at Tarleton, I took AMP 2 as an advanced elective without taking AMP 1, and they let me in it.
Yeah, you don't
So-
really have to take AMP 1 to get
Yeah.
into AMP 2.
So they don't have to.
Oh.
Well, it was listed
Not
as
for
a
us.
prereq at mine also, but I just went to and said, hey, I want to take this as an advanced elective. I only want to take 2, and they let me in it. But you can't guarantee that they're going to do that. Well,
That's an exception to the rule. So
yeah,
we're-
you
we're
can't
here talking
guarantee
about the rules here.
they will.
Well, if we put down AMP 2, and there are some institutions that require the 1, they'll have the 1 and the 2. And if you're at an institution that you don't have to, then they can just take the 2. And then they'll just have to take the 1 on their own. Just put AMP 2. It is a requirement, AMP 2 is a requirement for those institutions that require 1 and 2, so they have to take 1 to take 2.
Is there any that just require AMP 1?
Just 1?
Just 1.
Would you accept a substitution?
I'm sure they would. My only concern is we would be listing a 4-hour course as on our FOS that was not a requirement.
Well, what if we choose AMP 1 or AMP 2?
Well, then those
Because
who
this is just a
require
field
two would
study,
have to
but-
accept one.
True.
Yeah.
So like you guys would have to
That's true.
accept
We'd have
one.
to, they'd have to, well, yeah.
And I mean, honestly, two makes more sense for our degree than one.
The only way to cover everybody is to have both.
Yeah.
I mean, that's,
If they
that's the only way
require
you cover
two
everybody.
and took one, does that fit into like an advanced elective field? Anywhere?
You might not know that till public comment comes back.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we need to put both in for now.
Okay, anything
What else did we have?
for math?
Wait, we had,
We have psychology.
Psychology, right? This is for public health, right?
This is for
Yes.
public health.
Math 1342. I don't know what.
I think that's a statistics.
What about that kinesiology class that dealt with public health? Personal and community health?
ecology.
We actually
put the
found
nutrition.
HSCI 1301, which is Foundation of Health Science, Health Promotion.
It's,
So I
is
think
that
if we just put
ACGM?
down principles, I'm guessing,
Do all of
or
other public health programs require stats?
they all require stats.
Yeah.
That could be our math.
They all
Yes.
require
Yes.
stats. Now,
Public health needs stats for sure.
yeah, so UTEP takes the psychology stats. They don't take the math stats, they take the psychology stats.
This course here?
Oh, wait, no, that's
That's,
Yes.
community health. Did we have community
Oh.
health? Yes,
Yes.
we had community health down there.
Public health.
Yeah.
Elementary statistical methods.
And then we also had a nutrition class in there.
It's biology 1322.
Nutrition.
Yes.
Nutrition and diet therapy.
Diet therapy, yeah. And then did you say psychology?
Yes, psychology was on the list. Psychology 1315.
What's the course title for that? Is that general psych?
I believe it's general psychology.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't see a 13,
Yeah, I don't know
15
what
on
that
the.
is.
2301.
Oh, 2301, okay.
General psychology.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, so we had the wellness. Did we get the wellness in there?
I don't think so.
Did we get the wellness listed in there?
Personal and community wellness.
Is that listed?
Or something with wellness?
She's got ALHS.
But
I also have
that one says,
HSCI.
what's PHED?
Personal community.
Physical
By the
education.
way, the
physical ed,
kinesiology,
there's no-
or I think it was Health and Wellness Committee, recommended that the title of this course be changed to Community Health, and that they take out the personal health aspects and make this solidly a public health
Community.
course, rather than kind
Makes
of
it
an
appropriate.
individual
Yeah, public health.
healthy lifestyle kind of course.
I think we just put community health, that would be good.
Yes.
So what do you think?
Well, add
Let's
that.
see, so we,
You want to add that one?
public health, I think we did. Did we add, yeah,
Yeah, okay.
chemistry, can,
Yes or no?
Did we get,
This one's not in.
did we got the nutrition,
A&P, yes.
public health principles?
Well, I think that goes under the community health
Okay.
course.
This one's the kinesiology 2350.
But we need to find one
General
that can,
bio, A&P.
I don't think there's one that
Oh,
matches that
chemistry.
no, there isn't.
Oh, did we put,
I think that-
we did the chemistry, okay.
title.
Yeah, the
And we
community
did
health
the
was the
stats,
closest we
and we
could
did
come to
nutrition. Yeah.
finding something to fit.
Okay. I think there's more than one nutrition class in the ACGM, but if the biology one is the one you want, that's fine. That's biology. Whatchamacallit, biology.
The other one is HECO.
1322.
I think that's a,
Yeah, here it is. Yeah, nutrition and diet therapy. Is this the one you want?
yeah, that's it.
Okay.
So my question would be, so that's a freshman level nutrition. At UTEP, the public health is fundamentals of nutrition, and it's a junior level, a sophomore level. That would be okay, right? Because it's still 1 and 2? And they would have to take whatever that is in place of theirs?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, does this look accurate, what's on the screen? Anything else you want to add or delete?
Can you lower it? All I see is math and psych.
Sorry. It's,
Stats, biology, chemistry, psych, AP 1, 2,
Biology, one,
nutrition,
chemistry,
personal community
stats.
health.
Like,
So this one.
so we
this
have the
one's
health.
Not in there.
Which one?
This one,
The principles, general principles of like
public health.
public health.
It's not in the ACGM.
It's not in the ACGM.
It's not in there? Oh, okay.
now this is the
Okay.
closest that we get to that.
Okay.
So once the FOS, this is a general question, but once the FOS is adopted, then do institutions have the ability at that point to substitute? So for example, biology 1322, nutrition and diet therapy, that course is actually going to have to change to comply with credentialing if they have a program that is being certified by the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. And not every institution is going to have it in biology. Some will have it in their nutrition departments. So my question is, if we require this specific class, does an institution have the ability to say, for biology 1322, we're also going to count nutrition 1321?
Sure.
If that was the
Yeah,
course.
yeah. Every receiving university, right, might have a different course name, a different course number for it. They might even have a different department for it. If it's not in biology, they can make that substitution however they see fit.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
So I
Good.
think it looks like we have everything for
Public health.
public health.
Right. We've got imaging. We've got informatics. We have clinical lab science. We just need the general.
Now we need general health.
General. Do we need a break? Is it?
Yes, I think we should take a bio
Okay.
break. So let's come back at 10:27, take 10 minutes.
Okay, for those in the booth, we'll stand adjourned until 10:30.
That's going to be hard, I think.
So general health.
Now, I'm going to be the leadoff batter here. Now, there's a the spreadsheet that we got that has all of the different health science programs and then list of courses and the totals. Can we pull that up for a minute? This may give us at least a reference or a starting point to where we want to kind of go with this. So the first course I would probably propose that is as you can see, is in most of the programs here, is the general psychology. So that would be the first course on the list that I would say would need to go on the field of study. Now we could go back to that spreadsheet and we could look at some of the other courses and see if we want to include some of those, or but I think that's just a starting point for us in our conversations.
So that looks like it would be psychology 1315.
2301.
2301.
2301.
But why don't we just go down the list? It looks like A and P, and then the one that after that, algebra, the math.
Can you quickly just give me the rundown of what all is included in general health services? I know we were kind of, yeah. So I can keep that in my head, because I've got, I think I've got respiratory care down under general, right? Is that right?
Correct, yeah. I think we had respiratory care in there.
Dental hygiene, where does?
Yeah, we said that was
Oh,
a
it was
terminal.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't have that one marked off. Makes sense.
I think this is where I go back to the discussion I was having yesterday about the BAAS. This is going to be more important to the BAAS or BAT than it is to specific programs, because I've got a number of programs that within that discipline, it's a terminal credential, but they go on to BAAS and BAT programs in health sciences. And if we're going to talk about BAAS and BAT health sciences, then we have to consider how the AAS transfers into that through this process. And I don't know, and maybe you can answer this. Are the BAAS and BAT going to be held to field of study, like the BS or BA?
No, not for your native students. If you want to have a standalone separate associate degree, you can do that. As I've said, it would be nice if it overlaps with the field of study completely, but you could add additional courses to the field of study for a standalone BAAS degree for your native students. Although if a student transfers in to your college from another college with a completed field of study, then you have to accept that and you can't add any more to it.
Yeah, and I think that's what I meant. Are they going to be required to honor the field of study, not to
Yes.
adopt it, but to honor the field of study?
That's right.
Yeah.
Right. The field of study, I should say, goes to any public institution, college to college, university to college, university to university, any combination.
Yeah, and so I think for this discussion, that's really probably the focus of this, because most of these disciplines that we're talking about here now are terminal, with the exception of respiratory, and there are some Bachelor of Science dental hygiene also. There's not many of them, but with the exception of those two, most of these that we're talking about in this group are terminal, and they're going to the BAAS or the BAT.
So it looks like A&P1 is also required at numerous places. So that one's next on the list. So do we want to include A&P1? For 4 credits? And then college algebra?
We don't accept college algebra.
Okay.
What do you accept?
1324, math 1324, so.
13, which is that?
No,
1324, it's math for
business and social sciences.
So they wouldn't take college algebra in lieu of that?
We wouldn't take college algebra in our degree plan.
Really?
There's nowhere to put it.
Wouldn't accept it as like a course sub for
Mm-mm.
13.
What about 1324? Would that work for anyone else?
I haven't seen that.
No. Then probably not. Maybe we leave the math off.
So we'll just leave the math off, and that can be part of the core? Is it, would
It's
that
part of the
be-
core.
Right,
yeah.
would that be acceptable to leave the math off, and then whatever complies with the math core for that person?
Well, the core actually says algebra, statistics, or any college level math. Are you willing to allow just any college level math?
We won't accept college algebra. That's the only one. But 1324 stat, the stat we were talking earlier, elementary stat, we'll take that one as well.
Yeah, so if you just leave it at the core, you're going to be forced
Yeah, the
to
1342.
field
we'll
a study
take.
to accept whatever they bring in.
Say that again.
If you just leave it to the core, you're going to be forced to, under the field of study, to accept whatever they bring in, because it simply says any college level ready math.
Right. What was that?
So, you know,
Yeah, I understand that, but there's just nowhere on the degree plan that we can put it.
It's not that it would be on the degree plan, it's that you would accept it.
But we have to put it somewhere on the degree plan for them to get credit for it. Otherwise, financial aid won't pay for it.
It would probably substitute. the
It'll
math.
substitute for that math.
It won't in our degree plan.
Right.
The program director of that program.
Which is me.
Do a course sub. It would be up to you to do
Yeah.
a course sub.
What degree is this?
Well, not every
Community health
course
degree.
that is part of the core is in a
Yeah.
degree plan. And if a student comes in core complete and transfers to A&M, they're core complete.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean that you have to take their core class in math and apply it to your degree program.
Right.
Right,
So therefore, that course won't count anywhere on their degree plan.
right, right.
So it's one of those classes that we talked about yesterday that would be a waste of money for them.
Right. College algebra, like I think I said yesterday, is one of those courses that you can safely assume students will either get in high school or will place out of it. Yes, there are exceptions to that, but those students who are kind of below the average in preparation for math should be expected to have to take a not-for-credit catch-up class or a 4-credit class in college algebra that isn't going to account to their degree plan. And if they have to graduate with 123 hours because of that, well, then that's the cost of them not coming in with algebra prepared for university level work. So that happens. But usually you don't start, I mean, you put the course in the field of study that is the starting point course for where you expect them to be. Like the math field of study, for example, begins with calculus. It doesn't begin with college algebra, because that's where you expect the starting block to begin. So I don't think you need to put college algebra in any field of study. Same reason for English Comp 1 and English Comp 2. You can just assume that they're getting that in high school, or will be placing out of it, or will be catching up with courses like that. So if you wanted to start with Calculus 1, it's required at 3 programs, or if you wanted to specify that as a core course. I mean, they're going to have to take something for their math requirement anyway. So if you have a preference, you can put it. If you don't have a preference, then leave it blank.
Which degree is that?
Or statistics. We're talking general now, general health
So our
services.
degree is a community health degree. It's a BS in community health.
So,
Yeah,
so
this
there's,
was the discussion we had yesterday.
Yeah.
The public
about us
health field of
applying more
study.
to the health and wellness
Yeah.
FOS.
Public health.
Public health, you asked for elementary statistical methods. So would that work for your
Yeah, that would come in as Stat 201 for us.
Okay.
So do we want to add math or keep math off?
Do we want to suggest that community health be moved under the public health umbrella?
I think that was part of the discussion yesterday, either the public health umbrella or the health and wellness FOS.
Yeah,
Yeah.
She says
I agree.
the Health and Wellness FOS fits her degree program.
That's
Yeah.
where, yeah.
I think that would move nicely.
Okay, I'll stop talking then.
Well, the coordinating boards run into a handful of cases where a program genuinely doesn't know which field of study they're supposed to follow because there's some ambiguity. It's an interdisciplinary program. It's a square peg in a round hole. If that's the case, then let me know. But send me an email and we can have a meeting and I can talk with my supervisors about it and we can get back to you after some discussion with you and your program and perhaps your dean and internally, and we can figure out which of the fields of study is the best fit, if any.
I think with that, I mean, I would like to propose that we put college algebra on there because I think if that program fits under somewhere else, then it doesn't conflict with this one.
Do we need to specify college algebra or just leave it blank? Because isn't that the minimum that would be acceptable for core?
I mean, I think there's always an option. You can leave it blank. But I think the majority, a lot of the programs require it, according to that list that we kind of, think, is number 3 on the list in terms of, so I'm thinking that may be a reason to include it. Just a thought.
I'm wondering if this isn't something that might be self-selecting. Because, again, I'm going to go back to the BAS and the BAT. When you go into a BAS or BAT program, you're supposed to be core complete coming into that program. Now, granted, a lot of students will transfer in and taking a lot of gen ed courses at the four-year university when they get there. But if I come from a program, surgical technology, and I have to have algebra for that course, for that program, then when I go to BAS, I'm already math core complete, right? Most allied health programs are going to select math 13, 14 algebra, right? So it's kind of a self-fulfilling thing. Yeah, I think we leave it blank. It pretty much takes care of itself.
So it sounds like we have consensus to not have math on here. Is that correct? Yeah. Okay. So then moving on, next on the list is biology in a lab.
I think the next listed is biology 1 and chemistry 1. I would suggest that we just go ahead and list those.
Yes. So biology and chemistry.
Under the core.
Well, do we want AP1 in the?
True. Correct.
Okay.
You are correct.
I mean, obviously, the little spaces I'm putting the classes in can be moved. If a student takes chemistry as part of the core, fine, then they can put their biology as I'm just trying to fill in the slots here. But, okay, so A&P 1, biology 1, and chemistry 1? Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna ask what disciplines you have outside of the ones we've discussed so far that are going to require chemistry.
We're good.
Yeah, I don't know that chemistry is really a general allied health subject. Most of the technical areas don't do chemistry. Lab does. Respiratory, some respiratory does, some do not.
Dental does.
PTOT.
Dental does.
Some dental do, some dental don't.
So, Ms. Boyd, so then PT, OT, what were those areas that did require it? Chemistry, PT, OT, respiratory?
Yes.
Thank you.
For your concern, those that don't require it, would it fit into some sort of like advanced elective option?
Well, it'll help them be court complete going to BAS, BAT, but that's really.
I mean, I don't know, that's what I was just asking.
Yeah, because, see, and that's where I'm getting at, is if I have individuals coming through a paramedic program, they're not going to do chemistry. But if they want to go to a BAT, and this is in the field of study, and then the four-year college decides they want to try to fit the field of study, they're going to require them chemistry, which may or may not be of value.
Put in there for now and wait for public comment.
We're a little confused. When you say the BAT, what exactly are you referring to?
That's the Bachelor of Applied Technology.
Oh, okay.
And the BAAS is the Bachelor of Arts Applied Sciences.
Okay.
And
so
they're
not
both
like
degrees that are specifically designed for AAS transfer.
Okay. So they're not in a particular degree field, they're designed for transfer. Okay.
Those are also the baccalaureate degrees that by statute some community colleges are allowed to offer. You know, occasionally a community college can offer a full 4-year baccalaureate degree, and when they are, they're BAAS degrees, BAT degrees. Is that right?
Yeah, well, the many four-year universities are offering BAS and BAT also.
That's true.
That's actually, my undergrad is BAAS. I had AAS in surgical technology, and the only clear option for me was a BAAS transfer, because otherwise I had to go do all these other things. All these other things to complete an AS before I could go into whatever Bachelor of Science program. So the clear option for me and most AAS graduates is a BAAS or a BAT.
Those don't require chemistry.
Yeah, and all this grew out of, several years ago, there was a program called the Texas Two-Step, where they designed pathways for AAS graduates to go into college without too much extra requirement for that. And so the BAAS is set up so that a student can transfer the entire 60 hours of their AAS into it and then complete the core, and generally only have about 30 hours left for a bachelor's degree.
So shall we leave it on or take it off?
Let's leave it on and wait for the comments. Just, we're going to get a discussion anyway.
Yes, okay. So we'll put on chemistry and look for public discussion. So if we're going down the list, we've already taken care of the math. So it looks like fundamentals of health promotion and health careers is taught at 3, or required by 3 from our list. Yeah.
Well, that's not an ACGM course, is it?
No.
No.
No, so I think we should.
Would this course in personal community health be transfer in possibly as the equivalent for that at those 3 universities? Well, I don't know. It's not really about health careers.
Yeah, I don't know. Typically, a lot of the institutions that are offering this course, they're trying to they're trying to expose the students to multiple careers, because so after they get this bachelor's degree, then they're going to branch out into whatever specific, if they want to go to medicine or physical therapy or dental or whatever. So they're trying to expose them to lots of different options.
So is that something that we need to have in the field of study, though, for general health?
Oh, that's all he has there.
I think it's not in the ACGM. That's the challenge. Yeah.
It makes it
They probably have a health promotion, but. Mm-hmm.
As a reminder, here's the health and well. I know you've seen this before. You've probably got it in your packet, but here's what health and wellness chose, if any of these courses are helpful. They originally wanted to create a new course in Foundations of Health Studies and Promotion, which could be a kind of an introduction to careers, but after public comments, they decided to delete that. So this one is no longer available.
Yeah, I think we leave it out.
Next is nutrition on the list.
Yeah.
It makes sense to me, but I'm biased, so I am trying to keep my 2 cents out.
Therapy, that one?
I just think that this general category is encompassing various different professional plans, and I don't know if nutrition is going to be a good match to substitute for one of their required courses. I'm thinking, you know, and like what's been brought up previously, most of these are terminal, so we're not even addressing those degree plans. Without knowing specific degree plans, I don't know how we can make this decision.
Leanne, I'm not even sure if I'm on the right track with, I kind of lost like what we were looking for, but what about that biology 2401 anatomy and physiology where it's just the one intense course? Would that be a good one for this? Oh, it's already on there? That's what that Bio 1 is? I just don't have my
AMP1.
course number on there. Okay. Oh, I have that for AMP. Well, 2401 is the one that encompasses the lecture and the lab, but then we had AMP on there, so I just need to get that right. Okay.
She's talking about the 2404, the single semester.
Okay, yes, that's the one I'm talking about. Thank you.
Just one question. Do we need a field of study for this? It seems to be so general that there may not be a need for a field of study that fits everybody. So far, we have 4 courses, and we're iffy on those courses as it is.
Right, I agree. I don't think we want a compromise that actually hurt the student.
No, but can we clearly define which degree are categorized under this umbrella category?
We basically tossed everything that didn't fit the other 4 category in here.
Yeah. And I think, again, those programs, all of them labeled health services or health sciences, those seem to be the ones that we're targeting for this, is what
I mean, the only way to make this even make sense is to leave it as bare minimum as possible.
So then let's remove nutrition, because it
Yes.
seems like
Right.
nutrition is
Yes.
more
Like-
specialized.
1 biology, 1 psychology, 1 chemistry.
Yes.
That's it.
Pretty much it.
We're going to do the AMP one or the biology one?
I think go as basic as possible. Biology 1, chemistry 1. Leave off A and P.
And what rubric for that biology one? What's the course rubric for that? Like
It depends.
AP?
Are you wanting like biology for science majors, the biology 1406?
Well, they need 6 credit hours, so they need 2 biologies, so we can have them without labs. But it seems like they want with labs. There's another one, number 15, lab, and then number 3 with lab.
Like 1306
1406. It needs to be 4
needs to
credit
be 4.
hours.
So biology 1406.
Does everyone feel comfortable with removing A and P1? Do we want to leave it on there?
How many? 4 of them require it. I mean, it's really up there on that list.
I'd leave it on, but that's just me.
I would
I
leave it.
actually would probably lean more, with this being general, to have a sequence of biology 1 and 2 and not have A&P. Or a general health science.
Or if we're going off that list, they have AMP 1 and biology 1, not biology 2.
Right, I think the sequence, I've tried to make some sense of
Oh, biology
the,
2 is further down there.
right.
Yeah. Yeah, biology 2 is on there. And I think that is AMP going to be more specialized, do you think?
I would,
So how about this? Is there anywhere where biology is sequentially taken after A&P, or is it always the vice versa?
Vice versa, yeah.
That we just offer biology 1 and 2 and
Biology
leave
1,
the
2.
A&P out?
I'm good with that.
So we'll leave A and P out and just have biology 1 and biology 2.
1406 and 1407.
Now, do we want chemistry 1 in there? Okay.
so if we could pull up the nursing field of study for a quick moment. So if we can, so I think one of the, we're struggling to try to find courses with, for this field, for this field of study. And I know we talked about not putting in that some things are given, but for example, if you look at this nursing field of study, they have Comp 1, they have Comp 2, they have a math, they have psych. I'm thinking that this degree needs to be more general like that, where we have some of those basics in there. Because without including those basics, now we're struggling for courses to try to figure out what needs to be in this field of study. And I think this field of study is a very general type of area. So I'm thinking we need to include some very general courses, very similar to like this nursing, again, for this nursing field of study, they have some very general courses in there to help kind of, you know, to have some substance. I mean, I think we're struggling for courses to put into this field of study because, again, it is very general. So I think we need to include general courses. That's just my thought.
But aren't those courses already part of the core? So there's
They are.
the overlapping right there.
Yeah, they are part of the core, but I mean that's.
Do we already have psychology on this?
Yeah, we do.
We do have psychology.
Yeah, psychology.
Comp one?
We can add in Comp 1, Comp 2. We could add a math, and then I think, you know.
Would we need the chemistry? The nursing doesn't require the chemistry. Is that something we feel needs to stay? Because, I mean, I don't either.
Nursing, I think they do have chemistry.
They probably, because I know our nursing program requires basic chemistry 1406. I'm the only program health-related at my institution that requires the 1411.
They just started a new course for
they
that
do either
new
one.
non-majors chemistry course. They started it at Weatherford College. That's been approved, and a lot of the nursing people are taking that when they're non-science majors.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the rubric is on that.
Yeah, they usually accept, for nursing, they usually accept either one. So they'll take the 1305 Introduction to Chemistry or the 1311 General Chemistry. They'll take, sometimes they use those interchangeably, at least for nursing.
So I got 14 allied health disciplines, and then we've got a nursing, an RN, and an LVN program. And out of all those, only med lab requires chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if we made it a basic introduction chemistry, that
I mean, I'm fine with taking it off. I just think that to help fill this out, and because it's a very general, I think we put English 1, English 2, we put a math, and then we have the psychology, the 2 biologies, and that's it.
I agree. I think the chemistry is getting a little too specific.
Mm-hmm.
Well, keep in mind that you've got, I mean, right now it's 48 hours with that. That's 12 hours left, which is 4 courses, which students will be taking whatever. I mean, they'll be taking something for those extra 4 courses. So be taking creative writing courses. They could be taking, PE courses, taking foreign language, whatever. So the other fields of study are a little tighter here that you've got. This one's 60 hours. Public health is 58. Informatics is 50. Clinical lab sciences is 60. So you've got a degree map for the student spelled out. So you've got some room to play here. You've got at least 4 courses that you could fill up if you wanted to. Again, if you don't care and you don't want to, that's fine. But keep in mind that these institutions here are going to have to substitute this field of study for what they have, and some of them have, a really wide diversity range of courses. Like Sam Houston State is going to have to give up their medical terminology, their calculus, their fundamentals course, their human anatomy 2. They're going to have to give up lifetime wellness, biomedical statistics, physiology, inorganic chemistry.
So if we leave
All
those
that's
4,
gonna have to
if
go
we
away
leave those
if the
4
student
courses
comes-
open,
Sorry?
then if we leave the 4 courses open, then those universities would be able to fill in.
No.
Or no?
No.
Okay.
The field of study is the complete lower division requirements for the degree.
So does anyone know the exact degrees that we are considering under this umbrella?
Yeah, I think we have them up.
For the problem.
Yeah, I spelled that out in the handout for everybody, right? What we agreed to yesterday.
It says health services, allied health, and health sciences.
So OT, PT, respiratory, right? That's what we said.
Those are pre things. Those are basically a health science degree.
Is rehabilitation sciences in there?
Should be, but I
Yeah.
don't know if it is.
That's,
Said
that
no.
has the A, right? That's the A. That's the very first one. And we only have two. The first one, health science, allied health, health sciences general, and respiratory care therapy. Those are the only ones that have an A designation, as we, decided yesterday.
Does respiratory care require chemistry? No.
Some do and some don't. But I pulled up, because I want to give you an example of what, I thought there was a better understanding of what the BAAS and BAT were, and I want to make sure that you guys understand. So I pulled up Texas Women's University's BAAS in health sciences, specifically in health sciences. And it consists of the 42 hours of the general core, a completed AAS degree, and then the rest of the program is all health science courses. That's it, right? Most of the BASs and BATs are going to look the same way. They're just going to require the gen ed core, the state core, a completed AAS degree, and then they fill in with whatever it is they want on top of that. I'm not sure we need to get real specific here.
I'm looking at our respiratory degree plan. As far as chemistry goes, they require basic chemistry 1406. They do require A&P 1 and 2, English 1, English 2, speech, a microbiology, clinical pathology course, and then of course your psychologies and those other electives. But
I have to agree with Don. I think that these health sciences are so general. I mean, we offer a degree in health sciences, but now they're terminating it. So that tells me they don't have enough students that are interested in pursuing it. So, and it seems like it needs to be general because there's such a wide variety you can go towards.
Alan, is it possible to pull up this zip code to show how many different areas we're talking about?
We have that.
I think we have that.
The zip code for the allied health and health services, because you're going to end up, there's probably 60 or 70 different areas listed under this zip code, right? And all those, the vast majority of those are going to be terminal AAS, right? Some of them are even going to be certificate 1 or certificate 2, because you're talking about medical assisting, EMT. They're down there. And the only options they have for going on is a BAS or a BAT, or to start all over to do a Bachelor of Science and do all this other stuff, right? They're not going to do that. They're going to go to the BAS or the BAT, right? And to try and cover all of those areas in a program of study that's specific is not going to work. We can say program of study. I mean, there are some things we can go through and say, okay, yeah, you got to have speech, you got to have English 13.1, but those are in the core, right? Those are in the core. The things that they have to have specific to their area, if they have to have a math at a college level for algebra, they're going to specify that in their program. And then that's just going to transfer in block as an AAS degree into a BAS or a BAT. They're not even going to look at what that is. They just say, okay, there's 60 hours credit for you. Right? They don't even look at what it is. They just give you credit for that AAS and go on. So I don't know that it's even possible to formulate a field of study for this area, and even if we did, I don't know that it would be applicable.
I can see how many universities offer a particular course, but I can't tell how that course fits into degree programs unless you just go to each individual institution's catalog, which is what I did to come up with that database and the count to see if it's required or accepted towards credit for the program. Sometimes it's an option, or sometimes like English composition, they just put it down on the degree plan because it's on everybody's degree plan, but I went ahead and included it on the database anyway. So we could go to any one of these institutions if you want and see what they have on their list. But this is the list I used to generate this list over here.
Yeah, my point was kind of, if you go to ONED or DOE and look at zip codes, all of these disciplines are listed in a zip code, and that's where this comes from to start with, right? And if you look at this zip code, you're going to see dozens and dozens of different disciplines, and they're very disparate. In fact, respiratory care is going to be listed under allied health at the DOE and ONED, right? You're going to see all the imaging programs listed there. You're going to see all the technical allied health programs listed there, right? And they're just so very different. To try and say, okay, everybody needs chemistry. It just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. This group needs to be broken down more if we're going to do that. That's really what it needs. You know, maybe you do diagnostics, do a diagnostics group, and you do a treatment group. I can't think of the word.
Therapeutic or?
Therapeutic, yeah. So you do a diagnostic group, a therapeutic group. There's more similarity there, right? So if you want to do this, you could say, okay, in diagnostics, the softer touch stuff that they do in therapeutics is not necessary. Therapeutic doesn't need physics, you know, et cetera, right? So you could do that possibly, but to do the whole group together, I don't think it's possible.
Or we can stick with the plan that we were talking about with just keeping it very specific and having like the composition and things like that on there. I did check Weatherford College, and our respiratory does not require chemistry.
So, Alan, due to the complexity of this particular FOS, back to Veronica's question, do we need to do a FOS for this, or do we need to go back and relook at this category to see if we can subcategorize it and then approach it from there?
Well, yes. I mean, the reason why we pulled this committee together is because this particular CIP code, 51000, is one of the most popular transfer fields in the state. I'm not sure which one, but it's in the top 50 at least. Somewhere between number 26 and 50. It's not in the top 25. And this is all we know. This is all we see here. You are the experts, and you're from the various programs, so you are the ones who know how this zip code breaks down into individual programs. When I went through all these 11 universities here and went through their catalogs, this is what I found. And these are the names of the programs that are in that 51000 zip code. PT and Allied Health, Health Sciences, Information Management, General, Healthcare Studies, Health Services Technology, Health Studies. I agree that there's a variety of programs here. And as you can see from the fact that there's not a whole lot, that there's a lot of empty space here in this count, there is not a whole lot of universal agreement about the courses required for this range of programs, which is why I am relieved that you decided to have multiple fields of study. I think it's a great idea to have a separate one for CLS, a separate one for informatics, a separate one for imaging. But that leaves these programs here, which nevertheless have a large transfer and large enrollment. Health Sciences General, Healthcare Studies, Health Studies, Pre-Health Professional, Health Studies. These are the programs that I think we need a field of study for. If Health Services Technology, I don't know, maybe that one is an outlier. Maybe that one maybe they made a bad call when UT Rio Grande Valley put that one in the 51.000 CIP code. Maybe that isn't really where it belongs. That's not really a problem we can solve. When fields of study get published, we sometimes see institutions wanting to change their CIP code because they're realizing now, because now we have to accept this field of study, this isn't fitting our students, so maybe we were misclassified. And that's a good thing. I mean, we need to have a more accurate database of what programs are really in what code. So if your institution doesn't quite fit this CIP code framework, then let us know and apply to get a new one, and we'll talk about it. But it's these health sciences general, healthcare studies programs that I do think we do need a field of study for. If it doesn't need to be a big one, then that's okay. Doesn't have to be a big one. It doesn't have to end up being a compromise from all these disparate programs, but I hope that at least, these courses here will give you a good place to start. Some of these, of course, are not in the ACGM, so there's not much we can do about it, unless you wanted to create a course for the ACGM.
If that's the case, then the ones that are not in ACGM, let's take those out now. And we just focus on the quantitative methods, right? Look at the totals and set a number, 2 or above, we include, and build it right there. Then we're done.
One way to do it.
And it, kind of like what Alex was talking about, kind of keeping it simple with kind of the core. And wasn't there one you showed us yesterday that out in parentheses next to it, it said something about with the core?
Yeah, that was political science, which just had 12 semester credit hours.
Could we do something
and
kind of...
all four of the courses were already in the core anyway, American history and politics.
Could we maybe look at doing something like that? Keep it small, something that most everyone has to take?
I think we definitely keep it small.
I mean, I think that's the only, and then we'll get public feedback, but I think that's the only way it's not going to take stuff out and make people take stuff they don't have to take, or...
Well, just think about what for those of you at these institutions with these programs here, what is it that your students are doing at the upper division in these programs? And then what are the prerequisites for those courses, or what are the skills that the student really has to have in order to succeed in these? If they need chemistry, then fine. If they need A&P, fine. Biology, fine. If they don't need chemistry, fine. But whatever. But the way to think about it is, what are these upper division level courses here in these programs? And what are the prerequisites and what are the skill sets?
A lot of these are not going to have that, because the UT Rio Grande Valley Health Services Technology is a BAT.
Okay. And
it's going to fit just right in with the BAAS, where, 42-hour general core, transfer an AAS degree, and then go on with the rest of their courses. That program, when it was still UT Brownsville, is a program I completed, and I'm real familiar with that program. It doesn't have any specifics except for the Texas General Core, the 42 hours.
And that's why I'm thinking that has to be a part of what we put on here.
Right, I think that the general term health sciences can be defined differently by each one of these universities. Some of them have this classified under community health, some of them have them classified under allied health, some of them, it's a BAT. I think we're going to struggle to try to find a common thread. So I think we need to stay as general as possible.
But if five schools require intro to psych, which we already put in there, but I'm just using that, then that's what we'd want to put in. And 4 schools, of course, I'm the anatomy person, but 4 schools require anatomy.
And
so,
I think, we can put it in there.
So if you look down in that top part of the list, which is what you said to do.
So let's just go with the next one, college algebra, and put it under the math, college algebra. And then let's do the...
I think then A&P under one of the requirements for major, I think one of them should be A&P.
And that leads us back to, if 4 schools are requiring it, that means that 6 are not.
And there are actually many more than this, because this doesn't include all the BAS and BATs in Texas. Most of your schools have a BAS or a BAT. And most of your schools aren't listed here.
Well, it is going to incur extra expense if we have, I think, A&P 1, Biology 1, and Biology 2. Are we thinking about getting rid of some of those? Because I agree with you, Dawn. Like, I don't think, I know, for instance, our respiratory, we don't require that. We have like an intro to micro, no chemistry.
Yeah, see, if we start including micro, and we do A&P 1, A&P 2, Biology 1, then we're looking at 16 hours of life sciences. And we're going to require a college that's accepting an AAS transfer to take those courses, whether it fits into their degree plan or not. You know, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to go way out beyond what the general education core requires for a degree.
Well, can you just say that we accept the general core?
Sure. I mean, just to not have any other courses besides the core. Well, yeah, you could. That's what a lot of political science did. Be very small, though. I worry that students would be taking 18 hours of whatever random, and I'm not sure that they'd be as well prepared as students who had some guidance about what it is they should be thinking about taking.
Well, if that's the case, what we're really talking about is just figuring out what we need to add to the general core. Instead of messing with all this other stuff, we just need to figure out what do we need to do beyond the general core to say that these students are the most prepared to go into whatever it is at your college and complete that degree.
Like, for example, for chemistry, could you say like the basic chemistry 1406 or 1411 general chemistry 1? Because I mean, if someone requires the basic and they took the higher level, I mean, I don't think they'd have a problem accepting that because it's higher than what they actually required.
Say that again.
Like for the chemistry, if you said like the basic chemistry 1406 or chemistry 1411, because like our respiratory program requires the lower level 1406.
Yeah, we
I
could
mean,
do
I don't
that.
think they would throw a fit if they took a higher level chemistry.
No, I think that's a good recommendation. I think you can do the or, because some programs will take both. You know, I mean, so
And that gives us a chemistry, and they can choose.
they can
Which
choose
one?
which one based. Yeah.
Only 3 programs require chemistry at all.
Yeah, the vast majority of them don't require chemistry. The chemistry in a BAAS or BAT is dependent upon your AAS. All right, if your discipline requires chemistry, and you transfer that AAS into their program, then that's
Well, I know
fine.
respiratory care is one that falls under this, and
Yeah.
respiratory care does require at least a basic chemistry.
And maybe we need to do respiratory care separate.
No, but if you think about it, if we're still in, you know, this will still be, it's a part of their 60 hours. So it'll transfer in. If they do chemistry, it'll transfer in and they'll get credit for it as a part of their 60.
So I'm going to throw this out there, and this is the elephant in the room, right? And this is mainly aimed at the community colleges here. If you look at your disciplines outside of respiratory med lab, how many of those students would be successful in chemistry?
Most of ours require at least the basic chemistry. I'm the only one who requires the higher level chemistry, but the others require the lower basic level. So I think they would be successful at it because the majority of ours do take at least a basic chemistry, an introduction to chemistry.
I think if they're planning to transfer and if they struggle with chemistry, then I think they're going to struggle when they transfer.
Further.
That's,
Yeah, because we don't need it in ours, but if they want to transfer out,
Correct.
then to get this health science or to get pre-PT, whatever, then yes, they do need it.
Yeah, I think if they're that important, they'd include it in the BAS or the BAT, but they don't.
Well, the BAS and the BAT accept whatever their associate was, and if it's
Correct.
part of their associate, then it kind of is part of the
Yeah, and again,
AAS or-
it accepts whatever their associate is. And I would challenge you that most of the associate degrees, most of the AAS technical fields don't have chemistry across the state of Texas.
So does-
Another wrinkle in this, if it's relevant, is that we're assuming that all transfer students get 60 hours before they transfer, and most do, because they're maximizing their cost benefit of staying at the community college. But it's possible that if we have a small field of study, the student could transfer as soon as their field of study is complete, and then they have more, then they can finish the core at the receiving institution, or they can go ahead and get a jump start on their upper division level courses in their sophomore year at the university and have time to fit in those requirements. So a student may if you have a small field of study, a student may transfer the minute their field of study is complete and move on. Again, I don't have any statistics to back me up on this, but it's your anecdotal experience that from the colleges that most of your students wait until they have a full 60 before they transfer?
Not necessarily. They usually just try to get their core for whatever degree plan they're going into. And once they get their core done, and I've seen some that are working on their bachelor's and say they end up needing chemistry. They come back and take their chemistry at the community college, and they have a dual enrollment. They're taking classes the same semester at both. I have a student in my program that was doing that. She was doing actually chemistry at A&M and in my program because she was going on for a bachelor's. So I've seen a lot of dual enrollments.
And of course, community colleges are motivated to keep their students there for 60 hours to check them off as completion points, that if they get a full 60 hours in an associate degree, then they can check that box. So, I don't know.
And if they're in a specific technical program, then yes, they do. But if they're coming just to transfer, they don't necessarily take all 60 hours there.
There's legislation, by the way, that the coordinating board supports of trying to make it so that if a student completes the field of study, it counts the same for completion points to an institution as it does as if they've completed the full core. So that would be a benefit for the record keeping and the statistics and the funding of the community colleges. If they can get field of study completers, it would be the same as getting a core completer.
Yeah, that would be a big motivator.
Yeah.
And what's to prevent a community college from creating a field of study certificate? Because you have general core certificates that is a completion momentum point. You could do the same thing with field of study.
That's right, they can. A complete field of study can be issued as a certificate. Yeah.
So coming back to this one, are we keeping it basic or what are we doing?
Well, I just wanted to check one point, just like let's say at Weatherford College where respiratory does not require chemistry, then if we come up and we include chemistry in this FOS, does that mean Ms. Edwards is going to have to change all her students are going to have to take chemistry? That's
If
another
they're
prereq?
getting an associate degree in it, then that's a terminal. They're not doing it just to
Yes,
transfer.
Thank you. I understand. So it's
I
just
don't
if.
think she would.
So
Because when
then-
we're talking about the field
then-
of study, we're talking about.
So we're just talking about if they go for the bachelor's at Midwestern
Well, yeah,
or
because the
something like
field of
that.
study, from my understanding, they're looking to do this to transfer into
Yes.
some bachelor's degree program.
I wouldn't think about that
Not into
correctly.
another associate terminal.
So then the question becomes if that is required like at Midwestern and the transfer places.
Right, yeah, the higher institutions,
Okay.
if they require it.
Okay, I'll check that.
Okay, well, what does the rest of the group think about the idea that I just put down as far as the sketch goes here of chemistry 1 or general chemistry and the idea of including A&P 1?
I think if we're trying to make them well-rounded to succeed at a bachelor's degree level, I think this is a good idea because they're going to be taking higher level courses, and these are lower level to prepare them for higher level.
And we're going to have a discussion anyways. Once it's sent out, we're going to hear
Yeah, so I say if we leave it on there, we can
We
hear the
can
feedback.
always edit it. Mhm.
So that would, 1406, or, yeah, I would leave it on there for now.
I think we have consensus on that then, to go ahead and leave it as we have it now with A&P 1, chemistry 1406 or chemistry 1411, and biology 1 and 2. Now, do we want biology 1 or biology 2? Or do we want both of those?
I'd say we have both.
Okay?
I'm looking at all of the different degrees, and they have general biology,
Yes, yes.
1 and 2, yeah.
Yes.
So I'm
And
going to play devil's advocate again. If I have a program like MedLab, my MedLab program requires A&P 1, A&P 2, micro. If we do field of study, and we require biology 1 and 2 field of study, and a student wants to transfer to a field of study four-year university, it means now they have to pick up an additional 8 hours of biology, right? So now they're looking at instead of 12 hours, they're looking at 20 hours of biology they have to take.
Well,
I
from my
thought for MedLab,
understanding,
we have a category for MedLab, right?
yeah, so they
Yeah.
would be going under the
Go under that
CLS
one.
field of study and not this
But it
field of
depends.
study.
It depends again what they're transferring for, right? If they're transferring into a MedLab program, that covers that. But if they're transferring into a BAS or BAT,
Well, then they would be following
They're gonna
this
be-
field of study and not the CLS field of study.
yeah, but they're doing a MedLab as their AAS.
Well, then
And so-
that's a
so there's
terminal
12 hours.
degree at an
Well,
AAS.
but yeah, the whole point of the field of study is to reduce the number of hours that students are taking to get a degree. And so if they go to this other direction from MedLab AAS, we're actually increasing the number of hours they have to have.
Well,
why don't we
That would be their choice.
It's not to reduce the number of hours to the degree, it's to delete the number of excess semester credit hours that don't apply to the degree.
Yeah, well, if
Yes,
you're
but they
doing
would be changing their
AAS,
mind, right? That would be like me going to get a degree in education and say, oh, I
Never
don't want to
mind,
do
yeah.
this. I think now I'm going to do psychology and go another path. Or
Not necessarily, because a lot of people go into BAS or BAT because that's where you get health science education degrees and go teach in the high schools, right? So I've got a MedLab person who wants to teach in a high school. The most logical thing for them to do is to do a BAS health science education, go teach.
So Don, what if we use
disagree
the
with that.
CLS biology requirement model, take 2 of the following courses and put a choices there, include A&P in there?
I don't have a preference. I'm just saying. these
I know,
are the
but
things
would
we have
that
to think about.
satisfy the devil's advocate viewpoint?
Yeah, it would.
Yeah.
Right.
So we could take the CLS biology requirement, take that language, put it in here, a bin of 4 courses, they could take 2, and then be done.
Yeah, and if you're talking about like someone who is a bachelor's level laboratory technician or laboratory scientist and they want to go teach in the high school, I have a friend that does that, and it's a bachelor's of science degree. So that made her eligible when she just did the education courses to do that. So it didn't, I mean, if that's what you're talking about, but if they're going into like a terminal AAS degree, like my medical laboratory technology, then they're not looking at this field of study. They're going on my degree plan. They're going to finish that as the AAS in medical laboratory technology. So this field of study wouldn't apply.
Well, yeah, here's why I bring this up, right? I have, in total, about 200 dual credit instructors in the high schools. Most of them have taken an alternate route to get there. They all started out in allied health, right? They started out as med lab techs, or they started out as surg tech, or whatever it was, and those were AAS degrees. Many of them went on then to a BAT or a BAS in healthcare education, right? And
Well,
so
they're not really
that's what-
transferring then. They're just going back to school for a second degree. That's not,
Well, but this field of study actually affects that. See,
But this field of study isn't supposed to cover education.
yeah.
but it's health science education, specifically health science education. And there are several BAS health science education programs across the state. And I'm, all this is going to come out in the discussion when we put it out for public comment. But that's the kind of things that we have to be looking at. We have to think about beforehand, try to mitigate that discussion, because if the discussion gets too big, then we're back to square one.
Well, quite often these committees will create a separate field of study for people going into education. We can do that too. We can create an education track. Sometimes the education track is the same thing as the general track for the same thing as what the majors do, with the addition of 2 EDUC courses that are in the ACGM. EDUC, I forgot the number. One is called Special Populations, and the other is just Introduction to the Teaching Profession. So if you want to create a education track that would apply to those programs, or for any student, regardless of the degree, it could be a multidisciplinary studies degree, could be a BAAS, could be a biology major. If they want to go into health education, especially at the 7 through 12 level, then we could create this field of study, throw in the additional EDUC courses, and call that the education field of study. You've got room for it if there's 52 hours.
I mean, I
They
think
could still do that in the 60s.
Isn't that already under the education, a whole different?
Well, there's going to be a separate field of study for multidisciplinary studies, which is what they call it in Texas. It's the teaching degree. And there's 13 tracks within that field of study that break down to the various levels of teaching. And there's a long list of fields for certification in 7 through 12. You could be 7 through 12 math teacher, social studies teacher, ELS teacher, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. Some of those fields are related to health, but I mean, there's, PE teachers, but there's not really a health studies certification level. So I'm not sure we really need a health studies field of study if there's not a certification exam for this.
Under the health and wellness FOS, we have our school health program.
School health?
And they get certified to teach health in the schools.
Okay.
But that's what we're talking about.
Do you know what they require at the lower division?
I mean, they're in the health and wellness one.
Okay, the health and
They
wellness.
require some field-based courses.
There is, there is certification of the related disciplines, grades 8 through 12 certification areas. There's life sciences, physical sciences, science, technology applications, health science technology education, family and consumer sciences, human development and family sciences, hospitality, nutrition, and food sciences. And that is it for certification areas. So I guess the closest for us would either be family and consumer sciences or health science technology education.
Health science technology education, and what I feel like it would fall under.
Yeah, and most
Well,
of your
we
dual
could
credit
either-
educators are in health science technology. So the equivalent of the WECM HPRS courses are taught by HST instructors in the dual credit. So
you don't have to specify a field of study for that if you don't want to, because I don't know how many transfer students there are any given year in that field. Or we could just let it be covered by the general STEM certification field of study that the Multidisciplinary Studies Committee is in the process of creating, and just let it be covered under that umbrella, and let the education people specify what lower division courses are most appropriate for that. But if you choose to create a field of study for it, then I'm not sure what we'll do. I will bring it to the Multidisciplinary Studies Committee, see if they agree with it or want to make any additions to it. Then I'd come back to you guys and maybe we'd hammer out a compromise between the two committees, I'm not sure. Or maybe this committee would probably take precedence since you're the experts in the discipline. And you'd be in a better position to say what people, for those degree programs who are going into teaching certification, need for this discipline. So I don't know, Don, if that would work, or if you want to propose a track for that.
yeah, it doesn't matter to me as long as we have an understanding up front of what it is we're doing. That's my concern. Is I'm not sure that we. I'm not sure that we have taken all the considerations into the discussion. And there are going to be some major questions that come up in the discussion in the future, and we're going to have to answer those. When we put this out for public comment, I can tell you that with the program of study public comment, there were some pretty violent reactions to some of that stuff. And in each of those subcommittees, we included as many programs across the state as we could possibly get. Most disciplines don't have 24 programs in the state of Texas, and so we included nearly all of them in most disciplines, and still the reaction we got back from that was pretty savage. And you're going to see some pretty violent reactions here, and we just need to understand what it is we're talking about before we can react to that and discuss that with them, and then come up with answers for them. So all I'm trying to do here is present some different viewpoints so that we have a good plan to start with and mitigate as much of that as possible.
Okay, so what do we do next? We got 15 minutes. Don, do you want to give us a course of action?
Let's take the English class that is required composition and just put it in the communications.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I think we put Comp 1 and Comp 2 in there. And if we can decide on a math, I think we put that in there too.
And then let's stick with the college algebra because that seems to be the one that is most popular, at least with the information that we have. So the math would be the minimum college algebra for them.
And then I think we're done. Unless somebody has any objections to.
Okay, anybody else? And did we decide we're okay with A and P1? Okay, anything else?
I had a couple questions because the 51.0000 is the general health services, and then there are all these individual disciplines underneath that, but they have a slightly different number, like 51.0001, whatever. Are we only looking at 51.000 degrees?
Yes, that one with the addition of respiratory care.
Okay, well, respiratory care does have its own code.
Right, but we agreed yesterday, if you want to change your mind, tell me, that would be covered by the general field of study.
I think the comments we'll probably hear are, yeah, they want their own. And the other thing is, I think I'm going to have to check with our HIM department because they have a separate zip code. They shouldn't be under the 51.000 group.
Yeah, well, that's a separate.
I think our BS in health sciences is, but not our health information management. So I'll check with them
an
and
institution isn't allowed to have 2 degree programs at the same level in the same CIP code. So sometimes that forces institutions to get a little creative about the CIP codes to avoid that duplication for purposes of just record keeping.
Okay.
Also, accreditation requirements. Did anybody, as you thought about that last night, run into any snags, or do you think that anything we did this morning is going to conflict or cause headaches with anybody's accreditation?
I don't think so.
Okay, good. Okay, so just to review then, this is what we have for general. This is what we have for imaging. And so in light of what we've done now, if you want to revisit any of this, this is the time. This is what we have for imaging. We have both A and Ps, 2 chemistries, 2 physics. This is what we have for public health. Biology, chemistry, A and P, plus these other additional courses. This is what we have for informatics. Not too different from the general. Well, I don't know. And this is what we have for clinical lab sciences. That's going to be a good, demanding field of study. The students are going to be smart if they finish this one.
Can you go back to the imaging real quick?
Yes, I'll clean this up and format it and get the right course numbers and all that and send it to you. Plus, we have a format that it has to be in for the coordinating board, so I'll get all that done.
I had a question on the imaging. On what I had typed up, I only had General Chemistry 1, and I think it had 1 and 2. Or the imaging one.
This is imaging, yeah. Do you want both or just one?
I had just the one. I had pre-calculus, A&P 1 and 2, General Chemistry 1, College Physics 1, College Physics 2, and General Psychology.
What does everybody think? General Chemistry 2, does it belong here?
I thought I had most of the programs only required 1. Where did I write that down at? I mean, I guess I'll leave that up to you guys. I was thinking that they only required 1.
You're correct, it was pre-calc. Several of them required pre-calculus.
Well, 1 required pre-cal, the others required a college algebra or higher. And so we added pre-cal.
Okay, yeah, I thought there were 2 that had that pre-calc, yeah, but
Okay.
Okay, so any consensus on that? Chemistry? Leave it in?
Yes, we'll leave it in until
Okay.
discussion from the public.
Okay, great. All right, well, nice job, everybody. That's going to be some smart, well-prepared students when they get this done. They're going to be ready to roll. What happens next is I have a couple of other field of study meetings like this one coming up next week. So I don't have it's going to take me a while. I'm going to prepare for those and do those meetings. So I'll be lucky if I get this done this is Friday. I'll be lucky if I get this done next week. What'll happen is hopefully by the end of next week, this will go out, or early the week after that, for a public comment period. It gets I'll format it up all into our standard format and clean it up and get all the right numbers to it. I'll send it to our 2 co-chairs to proofread for me and make sure that this matches your records and that, we make sure I didn't screw anything up. Then it will go out in a memo via Gov Delivery, which is kind of the state email listserv thing, which goes out to all college presidents, university presidents, all CAOs, CIOs, provosts. It goes out to all coordinating board liaisons. Each of your campuses has a coordinating board liaison whose job it is to make sure that our memos get to the attention of the right people on your campus in case your provost or CIO doesn't do that. It's also, I would appreciate it, when I send it to you, I'll copy you as well on this. I'd appreciate it if you made sure that your department, of course, gets attention to this. Please feel free to send it to your system institutions, to your community college districts, to your colleagues and friends who are in all these various related disciplines to call it to their attention. I'm a little not worried, but it's just caught my attention that of those 11 universities that were in the list here that have programs in general health studies, none of them are in this room. Texas State is, but we've already talked about how their health information management really is kind of an awkward fit for that CIP code anyway. So I want to make sure we hear from Angelo State and Sam Houston and Texas Women's and Victoria and West Texas on this field of study. So if you have colleagues in those departments, you might want to send them an email or a chat and say, I was on the committee. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'm looking forward to hearing what you guys think about this. This is a really good agenda item for everybody in the state's next general faculty meeting, for our department meeting, to talk about what are the implications of this for what we're doing on campus for our lower division curriculum. Can we improve this? However, it's more efficient if we hear from departments rather than individuals in public comments. Every individual is, of course, free and welcome to write us a comment if they want to, but it gets a little unwieldy if 8 faculty members from the same department are all saying essentially the same thing, because we have to consider all 8 of those public comments. It just goes a little smoother if the department can speak with one influential voice and say, we here at the University of Texas Health and Wellness Program feel that blah, and let us have it. So I'd encourage that. Now, what happens is when I get the public comments, I'll copy them all. I'll take out any identifying information about individuals. I'll keep the departments and the schools. But if it's Professor Jones who's writing in, I'll take that part out, as if you couldn't figure it out anyway. And I'll copy all the public comments to you in one document. Typically, we get about 10 to 15 public comments. For multidisciplinary studies, we got 54. So sometimes it's going to vary a lot. Sometimes we just get 6 or 8 public comments. Almost never do we get public comments from people who say, looks great, love it, good job. Because if they went to the trouble to write, then they had something that they had to say, So don't get your feelings hurt if all the public comments are scarfing on us one way or the other. Also, not all the public comments are actionable items. Sometimes we get public comments where they're just grousing about field of study in general. We don't want to do a field of study. We don't have that many transfer students. The state doesn't have any business doing this. You're interfering with our academic freedom. You don't know what my students need. I'll copy you on all those, but that's not something that we can fix for them. So as I'll do the best I can. I'll take the public comments and I'll try to summarize the actionable items into yes or no votes. Do you accept this suggestion? Do you reject it? And I'll leave a space for you to leave a comment if you want to comment on that. After I get I'll give you a week or 10 days to give me your votes back on this. Then in consultation with coordinating board leadership and our 2 co-chairs, I'll see if we seem to be agreeing that we're going to make some substantial changes to the field of study. And if we do, then that's something we need to come back in Austin to discuss. The reason why we can't do it on a conference call or a video call or something like that is Texas Open Meetings Law, which says that anytime the committee as a whole is discussing votable items to talk about, then that needs to be in a public forum. It needs to be advertised on the Texas Register. We need to have the public be able to attend or listen into the meeting. We need to broadcast it on the web and record it. So if there are things that we have to discuss and vote on, we'll probably have to come back to Austin to do that. If not, if you all reject everybody's recommendations, or if the change is a relatively minor one, like you'll substitute maybe Calculus 1 for Calculus 2. I mean, it's not a dramatic change, right? If it's something like that, then maybe with the blessing of my supervisors, we might be able to avoid a meeting, and we'll just make that correction with the authority of the 2 co-chairs. To that end, I would like it if somebody can make a motion to authorize the 2 co-chairs on your behalf so that we can comply with open meetings law. Here in our public forum, we are authorizing the co-chairs to make appropriate minor changes to the documentation after, of course, the whole committee has approved of this. To make that change on your behalf. Also to approve the minutes so that we don't have to come back and officially vote on that item all the way to Austin just to do that one agenda item. To help me with any minor changes in the wording or adjustments to the documents as necessary for the purposes of the 2 board meetings, et cetera, et cetera. So if somebody can make a motion to that effect.
I'll make a motion as stated.
Okay, and second somebody?
I'll
And,
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. That'll make things a little easier. Now, the turnaround time for this, we're bound by the board meeting schedules. We have the full board, coordinating board, has to approve this. They're meeting in July. They have a subcommittee called the Committee on Academic and Workforce Success, or CAUSE, that meets 1 month before that. The cause meeting is, I think, June 25th or in that ballpark, June 20-something. This is May the 5th. If this goes out next week, this is May the 3rd. If that goes out next week, that's May the 10th. A month from that would be June the 10th. Yikes. If I give you a week to respond to it, that would be June 17th. That's just like a few days before the cause meeting. I'm not sure that that will fly because they have to get the agenda items printed up and approved by up and down the chain here to get on the agenda for cause. I might be able to see if I can still get this on the June agenda, but I wouldn't expect it. If I can get this out ASAP for public comment, and if you guys are really helpful and get this turned around to me with your votes in like 48 hours, we might just be able to squeak this on to the June change. But I'm kind of sensing that we're probably going to come back to Austin and make some changes on this based on your comments and based on the fact that we have 5 fields of study. If we just had one and it was pretty uncontroversial, I think we'd be in the clear. But since we've got 5 fields of study and there was quite a bit of discussion about ifs and maybe institutions might not like this, and because there seems to be so little agreement among institutions what they want to do at the lower division level, I think the odds are about 80% that we're going to come back to Austin and make some changes, in which case we're not going to make the June cause meeting. So I'm not going to stress too much about that, but that's how I'm seeing the timeline.
And also, a lot of people are going to be out. Especially a lot of faculty are going to be out for summer.
Yes.
So we might not get a lot of input in terms of.
Even if I do get this to you June the 10th for your votes, that might not reach all of you. But let me emphasize though how important it is for you to read the public comments carefully and to vote on them. Sometimes we get committee members who just either they can't be bothered or they gets lost in the shuffle or something and they don't think it's a big deal. But the public comment period is of equal value to this meeting because it's the time when the other institutions get to put in their voice about what is going to be a state policy that affects all programs all across the state. And you have the authority to approve or reject or revise based on those public comments. So it really is very, very important that I get 100% participation from all of you during the public comment process and your votes on that. So I appreciate that when the time comes. And yes, the timing is probably going to be awkward because this is going to fall back in your laps in June when you may be doing whatever it is you're doing in June besides checking your email and doing work for school. So,
Well, I think the committee will respond. I'm thinking we may not. I don't know how it's going to impact, the public comment with with a lot of the departments being out or gone, or so I don't know how that will impact public comment.
You're right. Boy, you're right. No, that's a really good point. I'll bring that up with my supervisors of maybe postponing this whole process until September. But boy, that would sure slow it down. But we would get much better feedback, wouldn't we, from institutions if this were September instead of June, which is when this is. I mean, this will go out this soon. It'll go out before the end of the semester, barely. But you're right. There aren't going to be any more department meetings. And this is going to be true for the other I got 3 more fields of study coming up this month. It's going to be the same case or worse for them because their public comments are going to be arriving in June and July, and there's going to be no faculty meetings about that. That's a good, thank you for saying that. Okay, I'll think about that. Maybe we won't do public comments until September, but I'll see how that goes. Okay. Or maybe we'll have a longer public comment period. Maybe we'll make it 60 days and not 30 days or 90 days or something like that. Yikes. Okay. Okay, well, exactly 12 noon. So, all right, I will stop then and thank you all. Thank you so much for your expertise, for your patience, for your energy, for your creativity in putting this together. Special thanks to Nina who did I don't know how she's doing it, to keep track of all this. Thank you so much. And thank you to our co-chairs for keeping us on schedule and making sure this all went smoothly. And thank you all and have good, safe travels back.